Alexis Mac Allister, he wins the ball back really well. Yeah. And what he does thereafter is kind of, it's a positive in a sense. That's what you get from having a more of attack-minded lad and a technically gifted lad in that position, because not only does he win the ball back, which is kind of not against his nature, but it's not his first instinct, but he does it, and then when he's got the ball, his usage of it is brilliant.
Well, and it's the positional awareness as well, because that is exactly where we need you to be, screening when they're trying to break, stopping them from getting a counter-attack, whether that's 30 yards further up the field and you're penning them into their own box, or as they're building through our side of the pitch now with numbers. You don't want them to get comfortable. You don't want them to be able to get their heads up and start looking to ping passes left, right and centre. He cuts that out very quick, stamps his authority in the middle of the park there, and for me, he's taking a leaf out of Endo's book. The first time ball, really, to just play it out of his feet and just get us on our way, it was absolutely superb. It was what we needed in that moment, because up until that point, Forest had done very well at being very compact at the back. There wasn't really the space to drive into for players to get the ball, get their head down and run with the ball. That opportunity comes and he senses that danger, and I think that's what you said there, and you've mentioned it already, the fact that he is more of a forward-minded player operating in that position allows him to just think, how can I get us on the front foot here? How can I spring us onto a counter-attack? And I think maybe that's why Klopp wants him, because he knows he's not always going to have the best defensive moments, but again, it's that risk-reward balance, and I think in this instance it proved, it came up ends for us, really.
Yeah, it definitely did, and obviously the goal, we'll speak about the goal in more detail in a minute, but actually Mac Allister generally today, I said it on my post-match reaction just a moment ago upstairs, I think this is his best performance for Liverpool. I genuinely do, because I think in the defensive duties that we are asking him to do, I think he won most of his duels. I'll have to look, while you answer in a moment, I'll have a check, but he seemed to win a lot more duels today, and his positional sense was really good as well, like you mentioned. And don't get me wrong, Forest weren't exactly an attacking threat, and he wasn't called upon 15 times, let's say, but when he was called upon, he did it really well, and I thought his use of the ball was a lot better, because albeit most of the criticism, in inverted commas, has been centred around the fact that he's defensively not quite as astute as, Fabinho, Fabinho, or whoever it may be. The Declan Rice, pick the best defensive midfielders that are out there. He isn't them. He's not them physically. But even for me, in some performances this season, whether it be a lack of confidence thing or whether he's not quite, assured of himself because he is playing where he doesn't want to be, but his use of the ball hasn't been there either.
Well, that's the thing. When he was with Brighton last year, it was different. Not saying he didn't have the confidence, but it was a lot easier to feel a lot more composed because he had that double pivot. He had Caicedo next to him to operate, so he had someone being that enforcer, and it was then the opportunity for him to recycle the ball, get Brighton on the attack, spring lads forward, and get them on the front foot. Now he's asked to kind of be the sole person doing it. It's a lot more responsibility that he's absorbing as a result of that. And I think, again, I agree, this was probably one of his better games, but for me it was more about him, again, being the right type of game for him in terms of, we mentioned why Endo isn't going, because Endo suggests that the ball, it's going to be a lot more of a 50-50 split.
Loads of transitions.
It's going to be transitions, turnovers back and forth. They're going to spring us on the attack. We're going to try and spring them. And you're going to need someone that can just sit in, hold that position and just be a really good screen and be effective. That wasn't the game. We seen it straight away within the first 3 minutes. Liverpool were prodding and probing because we had so much possession. We had so much of the ball in those periods that you almost want 3/8 in there. You want them all causing that midfield issues, asking questions of the midfield, driving, running off each other, running off the man, breaking the lines. They're the attributes that you want in these type of games, and it's definitely not Thiago-esque in any way, but that's why Thiago is able to kind of play that role as well, because he offers something
in those type
similar.
Of fixtures.
It's in those type of fixtures he offers something different. When you know you're going to have so much of the ball, why are we putting on a defensive player in any capacity? You just need someone who understands the role and someone that can read the moments, because I said it again in the watch-along, it was about moments for Forest. First 30-odd minutes, they didn't want to create, they didn't want to show for it, they didn't want to try and spring and attack themselves. But when they did, soon as they did, he's sniffing the danger, he was on it, he squashes it and then gets us on the front foot, and as a result that presents the opportunity. And I think I almost prefer that, because when Liverpool can counter for days against a team that really want to go toe-to-toe for us or fancy themselves or they're a progressive team, we are a little bit wasteful, because we know we're only 5 minutes away from that next chance. Whereas today it almost felt like it's been 35 minutes, they've not done anything. This is the first time that, all right, now we have to like go for the jugular. And as a consequence of that, we was very effective in front of goal. And you know, I think the way the first goal comes about, it was quick. It was very, very decisive in terms of the passing. I think that, you know, the pass from Salah really kind of sets everything up as well in that sense. And I think both of the lads do really well. I think Núñez is unlucky, but he tests the keeper because it wasn't something we had done a lot of up until that point. And Jota, again, as you say, if it's going to drop to anybody in that position, you know, you want it to drop to.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to finish on Mac Allister then, he actually won 7 out of 12 ground duels today, won his only aerial duel as well, committed 2 fouls, was fouled 4 times, 1 clearance, 1 interception.
He was in the battles, really.
2 tackles. Yeah, that's kind of illustrating the point, really. He was successful with his only dribble attempt as well, because you are right there, 12 duels to be even part of, and winning 7 of them, that's over half. That's pretty decent ratio, really, you know what I mean? He'd probably take that, considering, like I say, he's not a natural DM destroyer type. I think he's had a really impressive game there, and I made up for him because I've been one of the loudest voices, again, not criticising him, but criticising the role he's playing, and are we getting the best out of him? But you're right, I think we did it. It's essentially 3-8s, but you can afford 3-8s when you believe you're going to dominate proceedings we did do. Yeah, but yeah, 1-0, Jota the man on the spot, of course, all started by Alexis Mac Allister brilliantly.